The hospital smelled of antiseptic and faintly of iron, the kind of smell that clung to clothes and memories alike. Ibrahim Traoré moved silently through the corridors, his steps steady but his mind busy. The weight of leadership was heavy, and though he appeared calm and composed, every decision he made, every soldier who fell in service of the nation, haunted him. That morning he had decided not to send anyone ahead, no officials, no journalists, no entourage. He wanted this visit to be private, to walk among the sick and wounded without ceremony or distraction. Doctors rushed from room to room with clipboards in hand, their white coats fluttering behind them like wings. Nurses whispered words of encouragement to patients. The corridors were filled with soft cries, the beeping of monitors and the rattling of medicine trolleys. Ibrahim, tall and broad-shouldered, seemed out of place in this environment, yet no one dared to disturb him. Some recognized him instantly, their eyes widening, their hands pressing to their hearts in respect, but he raised his hand gently, signaling them not to treat him differently today. He wanted to see the truth, the reality of how people lived and worked in this place. As he passed a surgical ward, his gaze swept across stretchers, bandaged soldiers resting, some awake and saluting weakly when they saw him. He leaned down to clasp their hands, murmuring words of strength and gratitude. He listened to their pain, promising silently to do more, to carry their sacrifices in his heart. He thought his visit would end there, solemn, brief, but necessary. Yet fate had another plan. It was near the end of a long hallway when his steps slowed. He saw her. An old woman, bent low over a bucket, pushing a worn mop across the cracked tiles. Her body moved with the rhythm of long years of work, slow, practiced strokes up and down, back and forth. Her scarf was faded and patched, the color once bright but now dulled by time. Her blouse hung loose on her thin frame, and her skirt brushed the dirty floor as she scrubbed. She was small, frail even, but there was a dignity in the way she worked, as though no task was too small if it brought some order to the chaos around her. At first, Ibrahim would have walked past. Cleaning staff were a common sight in hospitals, often invisible to those who hurried by. But something pulled him to glance again. For a second, he thought it was a trick of light, or the exhaustion in his own mind, but when she raised her head slightly, brushing her forehead with the back of her hand, he froze. Her face, it was older now, lined with deep wrinkles, weathered by life's hardships. Her eyes carried the exhaustion of years unkindly lived. But within them, the tired gray-brown pools was something he knew better than anything. A memory surged, unbidden but overwhelming. He was a boy again, small, scared, lost in a world too harsh for someone so young. And there was her hand, soft though calloused, wiping his tears away. He remembered her voice, gentle, low, whispering lullabies when fear of the dark consumed him. He remembered the smell of rice cooking over a small fire, the way she would hum while washing clothes by hand, and how safe he felt when she pulled him against her chest, telling him that the world outside was cruel, but he was not alone. The woman before him, mopping the hospital floor, was not just any woman. She was the one who had once been his anchor in a storm. His adoptive mother, his breath caught in his throat. For years he had buried the pain of losing her. One day she had been gone. Circumstances he never fully understood had torn them apart: war, poverty, displacement, the chaos of survival. He had searched in his heart for traces of her, carried her memory like a scar. He had convinced himself she was gone forever. Yet here she was. Not in a dream, not in memory, but in flesh and blood. Bent with age and working silently, unseen by the world. Ibrahim stood still, his tall frame casting a shadow across the corridor. He felt his chest tighten, his heart pounding against his ribs as though it wanted to break free. He tried to steady his breath, but each inhale felt like fire. Could it be real? Could this fragile woman really be her? She did not look up again, focused on her work. To her, he was just another passerby, perhaps even another burden, someone who might complain if the floor wasn't spotless. She dipped her mop into the bucket, wrung it with practiced hands, and continued. Her back curved painfully, but she did not complain. Ibrahim's throat burned. The boy inside him screamed to run to her, to throw himself into her arms, to cry as he once had. But the man he had become hesitated. What if he was mistaken? What if his mind was playing tricks, seeing the mother he longed for in the face of a stranger? He took a slow step forward, then another. Each footfall echoed in his ears louder than the bustle of the hospital. His hand trembled as he reached out, stopping just short of her shoulder. He wanted to touch her, to bridge the years of distance with one simple gesture, but fear froze him. What if she didn't remember him? What if she had built a new life without him, and his presence only reopened old wounds? Still, he could not leave. His eyes blurred as tears welled up. He blinked them away, but they came faster, unstoppable. His chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. He clenched his fist, trying to ground himself, but memories washed over him, flooding his resolve. The way she used to braid his hair when he was little. The songs she hummed while washing dishes. The smile she gave him when he stumbled through. His first words. And the night she had held him tightly as bombs thundered in the distance, whispering, "You are safe, my son. As long as I live, you are safe." That promise had lived inside him all these years. Even when she vanished, even when life hardened him, he clung to those words. And now she was here, just a few steps away. The mop clattered suddenly against the bucket, and she winced, her hands trembling with age. She bent down slowly to pick it up, and in that instant the scarf slipped slightly from her hair. Ibrahim saw the familiar birthmark near her temple, a small, dark crescent shape. His knees almost buckled. It was her. There could be no mistake. His lips parted, but no sound came out. His tongue felt heavy, his throat too tight. All the power, the authority, the strength he commanded as a leader meant nothing in that moment. He was no longer Ibrahim Traoré, the man the world knew. He was just a son who had found his mother after years of thinking she was lost forever. Slowly, with trembling steps, he moved closer. His shadow fell over her again, longer, darker. She noticed this time, her tired eyes lifting toward him briefly. "Sir, please watch your step," she murmured, her voice soft but firm, the kind of voice that had once told bedtime stories and scolded him for mischief. She lowered her gaze again, dipping the mop once more. The sound of her voice was enough to break him. He nearly collapsed under the weight of recognition. Every word was like a thread stitching his broken past together. His hand rose again, trembling uncontrollably. This time he could not stop himself. His fingertips brushed her shoulder gently. The woman stiffened in surprise, slowly turning her head to look at him fully for the first time. Their eyes met, and in that moment, the years disappeared. The lines on her face, the gray in her hair, the hardships etched into her skin, none of it mattered. He saw her as she had always been, his mother, the woman who gave him love when he had nothing else. Her mouth parted slightly, her eyes widening. For a long moment, she simply stared at him, as though seeing a ghost. He swallowed hard, the lump in his throat nearly choking him. His lips quivered, but no words came out. Time itself seemed to halt in that hospital corridor. The beeping machines, the footsteps of doctors, the murmur of patients all faded into silence. There was only him and her, two souls long separated, staring at each other with disbelief and longing. Inside, Ibrahim's heart whispered one truth. He had found her. Her lips trembled as her gaze locked on his face. For a heartbeat, she didn't breathe. Her eyes darted over him, from his broad shoulders to the firm jaw. The tear-streaked cheeks, the familiar eyes that time had not erased. She gasped softly, clutching the handle of her mop as though it were the only thing keeping her upright. Her knees bent slightly as if they might give way beneath her. "My son," she whispered, her voice breaking like thin glass. The words shattered Ibrahim's restraint. All the strength he carried as a leader, all the discipline that years of hardship had carved into him, fell apart. His tears came freely now, streaming down his cheeks, hot and unstoppable. He knelt down on the cold, polished floor, no longer the man who commanded armies, But her child returning home after a lifetime of wandering, asterisk, she dropped the mop, the wooden handle clattering against the tiles with a hollow echo. Her frail hands reached forward uncertainly, trembling. In midair, as though she feared he might disappear if she touched him. But he leaned into her, wrapping his powerful arms around her thin frame, holding her as though to anchor her in place, to prove to himself this was real. Asterisk. I thought I'd lost you forever. He choked, his voice raw, muffled against her shoulder. Asterisk. Her sobs burst free, deep and unrestrained, the kind of sobs that carried years of silence, pain, and longing. She clung to him fiercely, her fingers digging into his back with surprising strength for a woman so fragile. Her body shook against his as her tears soaked his uniform. Asterisk. No, my child, she murmured between sobs, rocking slightly as if he were still the little boy she used to cradle. A mother's love never leaves. Even when the world took you. From me my prayers followed you, every day, every night. I prayed you lived, I prayed you found your way. Asterisk. Around them, the corridor had gone silent. Doctors, nurses, patients all had stopped in their tracks. They stared in hushed awe, their eyes widening as the scene unfolded. Some covered their mouths, some whispered to each other, others simply stood frozen. They recognized Ibrahim Traoré, not as the man on posters or speeches, but as a son breaking apart in his mother's arms. Asterisk. A nurse gently touched another's arm, whispering, "Do you see that? That's his mother." Her voice trailed off in disbelief, though none could pull themselves away. Asterisk. Ibrahim pressed his forehead against hers, their tears mingling. "I searched for you," he said through his sobs. "All my life I carried. Your voice, I thought I'd never hear it again. I thought you were gone." Asterisk. Her fingers brushed his cheek, tenderly wiping away the tears as she had done when he was a child. "I was never gone from you, my son. My body was here, yes. Cleaning floors, surviving each day. But my heart was always with you. I knew you would grow into the man you were meant to be, and look at you." Her voice trembled with pride. "My boy, my strong boy, a leader." Asterisk. The word leader stung him. He shook his head violently, clutching her tighter. "I am nothing without you. Everything I am, everything I've endured, it was because of what you gave me, the love, the strength. You are the reason I survived." "Not me." Asterisk. She kissed his forehead, her lips trembling against his skin. "And you are the reason I kept living. Every time I wanted to give up, I thought of you. Somewhere out there, my boy was fighting, surviving. That was enough to keep me alive." Asterisk. The air grew heavy with emotion. Even the wounded soldiers in nearby rooms had gathered at their doorways, leaning on crutches or wheelchairs, staring with tears in their eyes. Some saluted quietly, others clasped their hands in silent prayer. Nurses sniffled, wiping their cheeks, though they didn't dare interrupt. Asterisk. Ibrahim pulled back slightly to look into her face. He studied every wrinkle, every scar, memorizing her as if to make up for the years he had lost. "You worked here? All these years you were here?" Asterisk. She nodded weakly, brushing her scarf back into place. "Yes, a cleaner. Invisible, but I didn't mind. Work is work, and work is dignity. No one asked about my past. No one cared about my name. I became just another old woman with a mop. But it kept me alive, and it gave me peace. Because if I could clean sickness from the floor, perhaps God would cleanse my heart of sorrow." Asterisk. He clenched his jaw, guilt surging through him like fire. "You deserved more. You should never have suffered like this. You gave me everything. When you had nothing, and yet—" His voice cracked, his words choked off by a sob. "And yet you lived unseen, forgotten, while I... Asterisk. She pressed a finger to his lips gently. "No more, my son. Do not carry my suffering as your guilt. Life is what it is. We endure. And God in His mercy has given me this gift today, you, in my arms again." Asterisk. Ibrahim closed his eyes, clutching her hand against his lips. Around them, people began to weep quietly, overwhelmed by the purity of the reunion. A soldier with a bandaged leg whispered, "That's love. real love. Asterisk, the old woman's body shook from the intensity of her emotions. Yet despite her frailty, her spirit was unbroken. She pulled back slightly, cupping his face in her hands. Her eyes, though tired, glowed with fierce pride. You are a man now. A man who carries not just his own burdens, but the burdens of an entire people. But to me you will always be my little boy. The one who used to fall asleep on my chest, the one who laughed when I sang badly, the one who called me mama with such sweetness it healed every wound I had. Asterisk, her words undid. Him, he broke again, lowering his head into her lap, his tears soaking her skirt. The most powerful man in the country knelt on the hospital floor, weeping like a child, and she stroked his hair, humming softly, the same lullaby she had sung decades ago. The melody drifted through the corridor, fragile but steady, wrapping him in a cocoon of memory and love. Asterisk, when he finally lifted his head, his eyes were red, his voice hoarse. You are coming with me. No more cleaning floors. No more being invisible. I will not let you live like this another day. Asterisk, she smiled softly, shaking her head. Do not mistake me, my son. I do not need riches or palaces. All I need is to see you, to know you are alive, that you are the man I hoped you would be. That is enough. Asterisk, it is not enough for me, he said fiercely, gripping her hands. I lost you once. I will not lose you again. You belong with me, always. Asterisk, she stared into his eyes, seeing the boy and the man intertwined. Slowly, she nodded, though her voice was still humble. If that is your wish, then I will go. But promise me one thing. Never forget those who are unseen. The ones who clean, who serve quietly. They are mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. Each life matters, even when the world does not see them. Asterisk, Ibrahim swallowed hard, the lesson striking deep. He kissed her hands reverently. I promise. I swear it. Asterisk, their embrace drew to a quiet close, but the moment remained etched into every witness's heart. Some would later say they had seen history not in speeches or battles, but in a mother's tears and a son's surrender. Asterisk, as Ibrahim rose, he helped his mother gently to her feet. She leaned on him, frail but unbroken, her hand gripping his arm. The corridor erupted softly into applause, gentle, reverent, filled with respect. Doctors bowed their heads, nurses wiped tears, soldiers saluted with solemn pride. Asterisk, the old woman looked around, startled by the attention. Why are they clapping? She whispered. Asterisk, Ibrahim smiled through his tears. Because they see what I have always known, that you are extraordinary. Asterisk, he led her slowly down the corridor, every step steady, every eye following. And for the first time in years, his heart felt whole. Asterisk, in that hospital, under the smell of antiseptic and the weight of sorrow, Ibrahim Traoré had not just visited the wounded. He had found the peace of his soul he thought he had lost forever. His mother, his home, his beginning and his end. Asterisk, and as they walked out together, hand in hand, he knew the world would never be the same again. Asterisk.